Hi, Mrs. Harmer here again with a bit more Spanish. Well, I'll explain in a minute. It's Spanish, but it's not quite as you may be expecting. So let me share the screen and then I will explain some more. Okay, here we go. Yes, here we are. I'll make this as big as I can because today we are looking into food. And I don't just mean Spanish food, although there's going to be a lot of that. We're going to start off thinking about the sort of foods that we enjoy, that may be from this country or the UK, this sort of area. But what sort of foods do you enjoy? Turn to the person nearest you and tell them what sort of things you like. I will wait for you. Go. Okay, that's quite long enough for that. You can pause me. If that wasn't long enough to chat about the sort of food you like, just press pause. Okay, so what I thought would be helpful for us to do together is for us to look at foods in the UK first. And so here is my map of the UK, and here are some dishes that are UK dishes, okay? So the first sort of thing I want you to think about is where do all of these lovely, delicious items come from, okay? We've got haggis, we've got Cornish pasties, you've got cowl, boxty, fish and chips, roast dinner. Where did all these things come from in the UK? Because they're all UK foods. I'll give you a moment. Oh, I know. Why don't you just pause me? Okay, let's find out where all of these are from. Hopefully you were saying to each other where you thought they all came from. That's what I was expecting you to do just now. So first of all, I've said, where does haggis come from? Let's place haggis. Right, in Scotland. Great. Okay, Cornish pasties. Now, I have put Cornwall down here, so I was hoping you'd get that Cornish pasties, yes, they are from Cornwall, which is part of England, apparently. Then we have roast dinner. Now, that is eaten all over the UK, but I feel like it originated in England. And fish and chips. Now, there's a long story, and there's a reason why I've put Lancashire and London on here, but fish and chips are actually from England as well. I've just left these two, boxty and cowl. Which one comes from where? Well, let's place boxty first. Boxty is, well, I'll explain what it is in a minute, but it's actually from the island of Ireland, that all of it, everywhere in Ireland eats boxty, apparently. Okay, so last is cow, which comes from Wales. What is it, you ask? Well, let me explain more about all of these different foods. I'll go on to my next slide. Okay, so haggis is the national dish of Scotland. It's a type of pudding made from the liver, heart, and lungs of a sheep, sometimes another animal, but more usually a sheep, minced and mixed with beef or mutton, that's older sheep there, suet, oatmeal, onion, cayenne pepper, and other spices. Why have I got that extra comma there, you ask yourself? I haven't got rid of it yet. There we go, it's gone. And other spices. So the mixture is packed into a sheep's stomach and boiled. Totally delicious. I'm not saying anything more than that. Okay, now we have the Cornish pasty, which apparently began life as a portable lunch for tin miners, fishermen, and farmers to take to work. Housewives used to make one for each member of their household and mark their initials on one end of the pasty, so nobody could argue that one's mine if it didn't have their initial on it. Okay, Miners apparently carried their pasties to work in a tin bucket, which was then heated by burning a candle underneath. This next bit, it's a matter of debate whether they were eaten by holding the crust. Their recipe usually contained meat and a mixture of vegetables and spices. Now, with the holding the crust bit, I have seen pictorial evidence of pasties in paper bags in a mine. So it's like a matter of debate. Were they eaten holding the crust? I think that's sensible if you are a farmer or a tin miner or a fisherman, because you're going to have dirty hands. But if you received yours in a paper bag, like I say, I've seen pictures with people with paper bags and pasties, then you could obviously eat the whole lot. Fantastic. I think I'd like mine in a paper bag. So our boxty, which I mentioned, is from Ireland. An Irish boxty is a potato pancake made from mashed potatoes, grated raw potato, flour, baking soda, and buttermilk. Its name could have come from the Irish aran boxty, meaning poorhouse bread, or from the word for bakehouse, bacchus. It's served all over the island of Ireland. And in texture, what it feels like is it's most like a Swiss rosti, if you've ever had one of those. Usually it's fried, but it can also be cooked by boiling like a dumpling or baking like a loaf of bread. Okay, so if you think you'd like any of those, tell the person next to you right now. Okay, that's quite enough of that. Like I say, pause me if that wasn't long enough to make a comment. So then we have fish and chips. Fish and chips apparently could have come from either Lancashire or London, because they both stake a claim to it. Being the first to invent this famous meal. Chips were always a cheap staple food in the industrial north, whilst fried fish was introduced in London's East End. Okay, so I've got a little bit of history here. Apparently, the first fish and chip shop in the north of England is thought to have opened in Lancashire around 1863. It was opened by Mr. Lees, who sold fish and chips from a wooden hut in the market, later transferring the business to a permanent shop across the road. However, it is also said that a Mr. Joseph Mallon opened a fish and chip shop in London in 1860. Okay, so fish and chips is just basically, it's a very straightforward meal. Fish coated in batter, which is made of egg and flour, and chopped potato, which is deep fried. Okay, here comes another interesting one. Cawl from Wales is a traditional Welsh soup, usually cooked in a large iron pot like this one. Okay, most common recipes are made with lamb and leeks. Historically, apparently, it was made with bacon or beef. And as well as the leeks, there are potatoes, swedes, carrots, and other seasonal vegetables. The word cawl was first recorded in the 14th century, although the dish was around a long time before this, and the word cawl, could have come from the Latin caulis, meaning plant stalk, particularly of a cabbage. Wow, who knew? Okay, so roast dinner, very popular in school, always causes massive queues anywhere it is. Roast dinner is a traditional British main meal of roasted meat, roast potatoes, or mashed potatoes if you don't like roasted potatoes, but that would be strange. Or you could have both. I don't know. Anyway, vegetables, maybe a Yorkshire pudding, stuffing, gravy, and various sauces, depending on which meat it is. I'll leave you to discuss which sauces go with which, and whether or not you'd like any of these things, whether or not these are a popular thing with you. I'll hang on a minute for you to do that. Okay, I better move on. Like I say, pause me if that wasn't long enough. So now we're going to think about some food from Spain. Can you think of any? Again, this is your chance to turn to the people near to you. Wow, I've given you so much chance to chat. It's unreal. Okay, so turn to the people near to you. Tell them any Spanish dish that you know of. Now, I don't know whether you've thought of any or not, but I've got a bowl here, which is a bit of a clue to what I'm thinking of. I'm going to get this bowl. There's a reason why I've got a bowl, because I think probably one of the things that Spain is most famous for are the tapas that you can eat. Now, tapas are small versions of the many, many dishes that you can get, and you'll see some of them in a minute, but it could be things like stuffed olives or mini versions of paella or chorizo sausage or things like that. Okay, and they are served in little bowls, so they're kind of like little taster things. So they're quite famous. Other famous dishes, and some of which may be in your tapas thing, is jamón ibérico, which is a type of ham from a certain type of pig that is only fed on acorns. Paella, or maybe you'd like to call it paella in the Spanish pronunciation, which is a rice and seafood dish. Gazpacho, which is tomato soup, or tortilla española, which is a type of omelette. Okay, I'll move on. So here we are. Here is my map of Spain. I'm going to make it just a tiny bit smaller so you can see all of what I've got going on here. Okay, so Spain has many, many, many regions. I talk about them in another of my lessons. But here are some of the foods from some of the regions. Okay, so we have empanadas. Now, don't those look a little familiar? They look a little bit like our Cornish pasties, don't they? And they can be filled with chicken, beef, pork, tuna, shellfish, cheese, or vegetables. Okay, so they come from this area of Spain, northern Spain. Also from northern Spain is polvorones, crumbly biscuits, is the thing that they are. Polvorones, they're called this because polvo in Spanish means dust, and I'm not saying there's dust in them, but they are sort of like their texture is a crumbly one. It's a dusty one. Okay. Then you have, as I said, paella, which comes from this area of Spain, from eastern Spain. And also we have coco de trampo, which is a vegetable cake. Now, when I say cake, it's not sweet like a cake. But that's its name. It's most like a pizza, and it comes from the Balearic Islands. Principally, this one is Mallorca here. Okay. Then there's churros. I've had these when I went to Madrid a couple of years ago. Churros, so delicious. You eat them with chocolate sauce, and they basically are served all over the place. I couldn't find out where specifically they came from. Gazpacho. I told you it was tomato soup. It's actually cold tomato soup from this area, from southern Spain. It is very hot there, so probably anything cold is super nice. It is very hot, as I say, so oranges and other citrus fruits grow really well in the Seville area and Valencia. They just loads of them, oranges, lemons, everything citrus. Then you have turron, which is a kind of nougat, kind of sugary sweet that's particularly eaten at Christmas, apparently. Chorizo, which is from the Murcia region here. Okay, I expect lots of you have had spicy chorizo sausage. And then there's manchego. Now, there are many, many types of goats and sheep's milk cheese, but this one is a particular one, a long, long history, and it's made near Madrid. So I've got a video here for you. Should you like to watch it? I reckon you would do. It's really interesting how they make this manchego cheese. Okay, pause me and watch that. Okay, moving on now. I thought you would like to have a look at lots of different Spanish dishes and sweets and things like that. And I want to see, well, whoever you're with is going to see whether or not you think, I haven't tried that. I think I'd like it. So what I'd like you to do, I'm going to sort of like leave this slide up here, and I want you to have a look at the ingredients which are in the little boxes near the pictures. So for example, paella has rice, chicken, chorizo, shrimp, prawns, mussels, tomatoes, onions and paprika in it. I want you to have a look at these and think, would I eat them? I haven't tried them, but actually look at what's in them. That sounds quite nice. So gazpacho, that's got tomatoes, garlic, oil and bread. Tapas, as I say, that's sort of like a mixture of many things. So there's my stuffed olives there. This one, pisto, has got courgette, aubergine, tomatoes, onions, garlic, peppers in it. Patatas bravas, I have got something that's going to interest you later to do with that. That's got potato, tomato, garlic, onion, peppers, paprika. If you like those ingredients, maybe that's the one for you. We have tortilla española, eggs, potato, onions, peppers, ham. Okay, it's just an omelette. Hornazo, which is served, apparently it's particularly eaten on a day called Monday of the Waters. What that is about, you could investigate that, but that's got flour, yeast for the pastry, because it's like a pork pie, it's a pork pie basically, pork, chorizo, and boiled eggs. So we have a dish in this country, in England, ham and egg pie is probably pretty similar to that. Would you like that? I don't know. Here's another cold soup, ajo blanco, almonds, bread, vinegar, garlic. Does that sound like a you thing? Like I say, turron, that's got almonds, egg, white, and sugar. Chewy, it's nice. I think I'd like that. Churros, which I said is absolutely delicious, can't be beaten. It's really lovely, and they serve it with these little pots of chocolate sauce. Really nice. Polvoron, what these biscuits actually have in them is flour, butter, sugar, eggs, and almonds. If you like that sort of thing, would you like polvoron? And also natillas, cornstarch, egg, sugar, vanilla, flour. It's pretty similar-ish to rice pudding. It is a type of pudding. Would you like that? So what I would like you to do is pause me and find out who would like what, and then we'll go again. Okay, now then, I have for you now an experience that actually could be useful to you in your life, because what I would like you to eventually do, and I'm providing you with these, is I've got 4 different simple recipes. Okay, one for tortilla española, one for turrón de Alicante, one for patatas bravas, and one for coco de trampo. And what I have for you here is a video. It is completely in Spanish, and that's absolutely fine because you can still work out what's going on. A video for you that tells you how to make coco de trampo. I'm hoping to attract lots of you to make that. But yes, this is what I want for you, is try some Spanish at home. But let's watch this video, and then after that you get to pick whichever recipe you would like to try to take home. Okay, so pause me and watch that. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing now because it's just about to get super noisy here and I better say goodbye before it does. So I'm going to say enjoy, disfruta, and adios. See you soon.